I've never said no. Like whenever somebody asks me if I can do something, I can always do it. I will fake it till I make it, and sometimes, and that, now, I mean, now I've been doing it for 30 plus years, so it's like I don't have to fake it anymore.
Today's guest is Gene McLaughlin, a builder whose career has taken him from framing houses in Northeastern Pennsylvania to leading major developments outside of Philadelphia, building luxury homes in Los Angeles, and eventually returning home to create one of the region's premier custom home design build companies. Alongside his brother Christian, Gene has built a business grounded in craftsmanship, integrity, and doing things the right way. Let's get this conversation started.
All right, Gene. Well, let's pretend. Let's be live right now.
Okay.
We're not live, but you get what I'm
I
saying.
get you.
So,
I get you.
all right. Well, thank you very much for coming on here. I just met you a few minutes ago, so why don't you just give us a quick, I guess, an elevator commercial about what you're doing now, and then I'm probably gonna have a ton of questions because I told you I have a construction background. So,
Right.
how'd you get there? Right.
I mean, I'm building houses, commercial properties, pretty much. We design build, so everything is designed in-house for all intents and purposes. Yeah, so we do we're probably 60 to 70% residential and the other 30% commercial.
So when you say design build, explain that out for us.
Um, so we do. So if a client comes to me, let's say you want to build a house, or if you want to build a new office space, whatever the case may be, you
I
can
might
either
want to do that. So get ready.
you can either go hire an architect,
Yep.
right? And then the architect designs something hopefully amazing. And then you pay the architect a whole lot of money, and then you take that plan to me and you say, Gene, can you build this, and how much will it cost? Whereas design build, I mean, certainly is that, but we handle everything in-house. So that sort of lends to the ability to value engineer as the design is taking place, so if you go and get an architect,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, and I would never say a bad thing about architects, love them. They're my lifeblood in a lot of ways. But oftentimes they will design things that are challenging to build or out of the budget. Because they're not sitting down with you saying,
Right.
wow, these LVLs, if we do this office space over this open area, you will have to carry it with steel,
Yep.
or anything
Yeah.
like that. Or, so what we're able to do is we're able to vet all that stuff. And that's why I say VE, or value engineer it, while the plan is being built. So we're controlling costs as we're designing it. And then, of course, we build it. So now we're completely married to the plan because we helped in designing every feature of it. So I know where point loads are supposed to go. I know what a beam is supposed to carry. I know what a layered floor system is going to look like. We don't have to make 30 calls to an architect saying, what was your design intent?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
Right.
And I hate to say that,
Yeah.
but I've looked at plans in the past and been like, no idea what this architect wants me to do.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Mm.
We completely control that environment, which it's a lot better for a customer. A lot better for a customer.
Yeah.
And like I can use my buying power. So I have a couple architects that we use singularly. We give them so much business that there's certainly an economy of scale for me. Whereas if you're a one-time shopper with an architect, you're probably not going to get that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of, holes in, what their knowledge of you is and vice versa. So this helps, our customers to get more of a plan for less money, and they get the benefit of the builder designing it with the architect. So that's
So are you doing these
sort of the
houses
essence of it.
in Northeast PA or
Yeah,
you
well,
can do anywhere really, right?
Well, you can do it anywhere, but I mean, we do predominantly in Northeast PA. We still work in Philadelphia moderately frequently. It used to be a lot more, but we'll still do. We built a 14,000 square foot office building in Center City, Philadelphia, in Old City, which was a challenge.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
we're
easy.
licensed in the city of Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah, so we frequently work in Philly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you said
Predominantly up here.
60% residential. You said.
60 to 70, I
Yeah.
would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does that work? So Bob Brown wants to come build a house. My wife and I come to you with a whole book of all kinds of photos and plans,
Sure.
or an electric folder with all these
Mhm.
things, or
Mhm.
styles and stuff that we like, or
Yeah.
Like, how does it start?
Well, we'll start out with, a sort of just an idea. We'll sketch out some preliminary plans for you that make sense for the way that you're going to live. We'll one of our architects with Fancy Parsley, Mike Muller, one of my favorite guys. They have a system where they do bubble drawings. So we don't actually do a full floor plan. We'll use areas. Let's say we'll use here's your living room, dining room. We'll lay everything out with the most rudimentary of bubbles or squares
Okay.
to make sure that we have the flow of the house the way you want it. Because form follows function. We build it the way people live. That's what really, and a lot of people
Makes
don't do
sense.
that. You know what I mean? I can't take form follows function was I.M. Pei, and a famous architect, not me. But that's really what we try to follow
Gotcha.
that. So we will get basically, the floor plan of the house and the living space, and how you're going to use it. And then we'll just begin to flesh that out. We typically do 4 or 5 different meetings, red line meetings, to cultivate that and fine tune it to where it's a buildable permit set. In the meantime, once we get that permit set, I typically won't get too involved with selections until we do have a plan and the people have accepted it. Then we'll do sit downs, and we have selections guides and all kind of stuff that we do all the selections with the client, and then we build it.
What happens? How do you guys handle things as the building goes up and it never goes as planned? There's always something, right?
Yeah.
And even if you're doing everything right and everything works out perfectly, the owners change their mind once they see that wall go up. They, oh, I do want a door over
Yeah.
here, a window there,
Yeah.
or whatever. So how do you do changes like that?
Well,
How do you?
change orders, and it's the reality of what we do. I mean,
Yeah.
and it happens a lot. So we're pretty emphatic about having a change order signed before we'll do anything. We have, you
Hmm.
have to sign that document with a cost on it, with, a deposit for that as well. So we need buy-in from a client before we'll wholesale make a change, unless it's an error that we've made or something to that effect. But like just a specification change, a structural change, things like that. We do formal change orders, which are executed prior to any of those changes
Yeah.
taking place. It's a must because you forget. If you build a house for 6 months and at the
Yeah.
end you're like, oh my God, look at all the change orders.
And it adds
You
up.
didn't pay me for
Yeah.
these. Or, I charged you too much, vice versa, whatever the case may be. So we're really dedicated to making sure that we track everything in the build.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Gene, how did you get into this in the first place?
Well, a very, very close friend of mine, his father was a custom builder. And I worked with his father, my best friend. I worked with his father all through high school, and even in college, back and forth in the summers in college. But I went to Penn State University for graphic design and marketing. I was an artist. I was a painter. Literally, I was a painter and an illustrator. And my father told me that you can't make money doing that, and he was probably
Mhm.
right.
I mean,
To a certain
unfortunately.
extent, yeah,
Glad I
to
wore
a
my
to,
Penn State shirt too.
to a certain, yeah. So I I went to Penn State main campus. I didn't graduate. I had 17 credits left. I didn't graduate. I went home to work. I just got kind of burnt on it. And kept on, building for the same builder and learning about it. I then moved to Philadelphia. Um, and I started my own small business in Philadelphia, redoing Section 8 houses in South Philadelphia.
How'd you come up with that?
Uh,
You don't just
I
do
had, I
that.
had, no, you don't. So, and this is a crazy story, and you want me to tell you this story?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what
So,
we're here
okay,
for.
so I had gotten engaged, and I moved to Philadelphia for a woman, which is always the wrong decision to make. Well, not always. Most of the time, you follow your head. I followed my heart, but it ended up working out well. So, um, I moved to Philadelphia. Friends of friends knew a friend in South Philly who was doing Section 8 rehab housing. And it turned out that these two guys were sons of Philadelphia mobsters. Um, Nicky Scarfo, who I don't know if everybody knows who Nicky Scarfo was, but he went to jail for all kind of racketeering. One of his lead guys, their two sons that had just gotten out of witness protection were going straight, and they were doing these Section 8 houses in Philly. So I had a lot of experience, and my friend told them, and they were like, "Would you like to help us?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I started my own little company, and I would renovate these houses, paint them, and everything. And at that point in time,
So I heard you paint houses.
exactly, yeah, and I'm Irish.
Yeah.
Um, so so I did that for a while, and it wasn't something I wanted to have benefits. I wanted to have security, so I sent a resume to Pulte Homes. So Pulte is one of the largest builders in the country. They're a publicly traded company. I think Bill Pulte now works in the Trump administration. But at that point, this was 1994, maybe. So I sent a resume to Pulte. I got interviewed, and they hired me, and they hired me as what they called an area warranty manager. So I ran the warranty on new houses in all of their developments in the Philadelphia area and South Jersey, which which was frustrating for me because when I was building, we were very thorough, and like everything kind of got done right. It was a different mentality than working for a publicly traded company. And there's certainly nothing wrong with the way that they did things. It was just foreign to me. And I would I would go through houses, lots of them that were just not built the way that I thought they should be built. So I ended up going to my superior, and I told him that I could build houses better than his superintendents were. And he gave me an opportunity, like, kismet, something happened. I was able to step into a superintendent role for a development called Rock Creek in Bethel Township, Pennsylvania, and Delaware County, just south of Philadelphia. And it was 33 houses. And Pulte gave us hard schedules. We had to build a house in 120 days, from breaking ground to giving the people the keys for them to move in.
Wow.
And they sent me to a superintendent training school and all kind of stuff, and I had to do that, which was hair raising. I mean, it's hard to build a house in 8 months,
Yeah.
let alone 120 days. But I learned how to do it, and I did it. And what their structure was there was a superintendent and an assistant superintendent on a job site, no laborers. I mean, everything was written in a scope of work for the subcontractors. So if you're my subcontractor and you come, and this is a story that I couldn't get the subcontractors to clean up after themselves, especially electricians, and they're still that way.
Yeah.
So I would literally sit in my truck at 6 o'clock in the morning at the entrance to the development and check the guys coming in if they had a broom in their truck. If they didn't have a broom in the truck, I sent them home. And when I would send them home, their bosses would call and freak out
Sure.
because that's what we would call a dry run. They could come out, they couldn't work, they had to go back and get a broom. That worked. So it got to the point for me doing things like that they would clean up, and my job sites were clean. And it took a little bit of time, but I was eventually able to get houses built within 120 days. And then Pulte brought in a new VP of construction for the area, and he wanted us to build them in 90 days. And I was just like, and I had done 3 developments for them at that point as a superintendent. And I had an offer from another builder in Wilmington, Delaware, who wanted to give me a better salary and probably, definitely a more relaxed working environment. So I did that. I went with them. And I was with him for probably 2 years. And then I made another upward move to a company called the McKee Group. They're in Springfield, PA. And they built primarily active adult 55 and over communities.
Mm.
And they hired me as a project manager. So now I had superintendents working for me and construction managers working for me. And I ran the entire operation and what we did, the first job that I did is we bought a Sunoco tank farm in Marcus Hook. And we hired Pannoni and Associates, a remediation contractor, to come in there and remediate the entire site, which I oversaw the entire thing, which was crazy, and it was unbelievable. It was scary, but
How old were you when you were doing that?
32.
It's pretty young.
Unreal, yeah.
Yeah. And well, I've never said no. Like whenever somebody asks me if I can do something, I can always do it.
Can you mow my
I will
lawn?
fake it till I make it, and sometimes, and that now, I mean, now I've been doing it for 30 plus years, so it's like I don't have to fake it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in my early years, I was hungry,
Yeah.
and I wanted that, so I was like, yeah, I can do it. So I would learn, I would study it. I would learn, you know what I mean? Because most people don't know the stuff. They were just like me.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't know. You know, I learned sort of at night, and I would go in the next day and, you know, exercise the new knowledge that I got, and it worked. So yeah, so I was quite successful at that project. We built 800 plus houses in 4 years with a 30,000 square foot clubhouse, a golf course that I put on the site.
Cool.
What was that?
Yes,
What was the reason Pulte was making you go from 4 months to 3 months? Do you know why?
money.
Cut
Yeah,
costs.
Yeah,
just
I mean
that.
it's yeah labor costs. Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, churn it out because I mean this was probably in 2000 and
For the same product too, right?
Yeah,
Like
but
the
I would
same
think there'd
house.
be more
not this.
errors, more waste.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, I guess.
Well, I mean, no, there can be for sure, but the whole idea with that model is to train your subcontractor base so they know exactly what's coming. You know, they have there's a unit cost for everything. So, you know, on the developments that I built for Pulte, there was maybe four models. Each one of the models had another four front elevations. If they wanted to do a change order, it was rare at best that we would do a change order, and then it would be sort of punitive. You know what I mean? So if you want to come in and you want to say, "Hey, Gene, I want to do a finished basement, and I want to add A, B, C, and D," it would be expensive.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, it was a deterrent.
Right.
And then we would also charge an administrative fee that was sort of, you know, but I mean, ultimately, and don't get me wrong, Pulte wanted to satisfy the client. There, it was not about keeping things from the client, but I believe that the model was more about productivity than customization
And predictability. Yeah,
Math.
sure.
And
Just
predictability, and
mass
that's
production.
uh, yes, I mean to a certain degree, yeah, to a certain degree. But like after a couple of years working with the same subcontractor base, when I would send out a schedule, they knew that they could bank on that.
Hmm.
So they make more money, we make more
Sure.
money. The customer is a better service because they're in faster, and that's ultimately what they want. They don't want to
Hmm.
sit there for a year watching you build them a house. So it really worked for everybody. It was just challenging. It was challenging to do it. A lot of stress.
So that's interesting because you've migrated from quantity to quality.
Oh yeah, we
Not
have
that
a
they
different
weren't,
model
yeah,
now.
not that they
Yeah,
weren't quality,
yeah.
level homes, but the
Mhm.
pump them out, right?
Bump them out.
They all look very very similar, and now all of a sudden you're designing and
Yeah,
building these
yeah, unique,
completely different.
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really why I stayed in it and why I did it. You know, because from my, you know, I was artistic since I was a little kid. You know, I'd be like this drawing Conan the Barbarian. You know,
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
oh my god, you know. So I would do dioramas of the Civil War, like hyper nerd.
They're
And,
talking my kind of language.
and
With the tree of woe or something.
yeah, I always, you know, this is, it's what I wanted to do, you know, and after you reach a certain point in your career, it's hard to turn back. What are you going to do? You're going to turn back and I'm going to be this or that or whatever. So, yeah. So, well, what happened? Well, here's why I went into business. In 2007, when the market crashed, I was a project manager and, I was doing quite well. I just built a 5,000 square foot house for my ex-wife and I. And I bought a Range Rover. I did all kind of foolish things, you know what I mean? So you know, and the market was crashing, and I was the last project manager to get let go.
Hmm.
And I was just like, oh my God, you know, like what am I? You know,
Yeah.
I've got the, you know, the house payment, I got vehicles, I've got all kind. And my ex-wife told me to. She's like, well, you have to go immediately and sign up for unemployment. I've never collected unemployment ever in my life, and I was just like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm skilled. And I thought that. I really, really did. I've
Sure.
never collected. I'm a worker. That's what. So um, I decided instead to start an LLC. You know, so I started an LLC in about 3 days, and I had an LLC. It was super easy. It was like, wow, this is simple. I went out and I got insurance, and I went back to all of my subcontractor base that I had worked with me at Pulte Homes, and I said, here's where I am. I need your help. The years that I made sure you got paid on time, this is my callback. I need help. And I had an influx of work from that that kept me busy for 3 years, and I couldn't even keep up with it. And this was when nobody was buying homes, so we were finishing basements, we were putting new kitchens in, we were putting sunrooms on houses, stuff like that. And we were successful at it. And then so I kept that started in 2008. In 2010, so I
So real quick, Gene. So you were basically a subcontractor. They would have you come on and join their.
no, 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 no. I mean, we would like if somebody wanted a basement finished,
Yep.
I would draw it and design it all.
Gotcha. So
Yeah,
it was
we were
going.
we
So
were
the
a
work was
general.
going through you, and then you were working alongside of them
Well,
to
yeah,
get the job done.
we were a general contractor.
Gotcha.
We were doing GC work, and in 2010 or 11, um, some things went on in my personal life, and I ended up moving to Los Angeles, and I started a business in LA in 2011, which was insanity.
A new business, a new
And
LLC.
well, so in the state of California,
Yeah.
so my LLC was established in Delaware, like most people, or Wyoming,
Yeah.
So the state of Los Angeles wouldn't allow me to bring my LLC into the state. And I was like, why? Well, I know why now, but I mean, they wouldn't allow that. So I had to set up an S corp in the state of California.
Mm.
Um, and in doing so in California, you what you have to go through to start a business is punitive isn't even the right word for it. It's brutal. So we have a class C license in the state of California. So here's what I had to do to get my license. You'll love this if you're into like time wasting or any type
Oh
of
yeah, sure.
over the top, like burdensome regulations. So you have to take a test through the California State Licensing Board. It's expensive to do that in and of itself, but if you don't pass it, you have to wait like another year to be able to take it again, and it's tough. So I went in. I lived out by kind of like by Woodland Hills, which is just up from Malibu a little bit. So I would go into Van Nuys every night, and I would take a class. I took a prep class so I didn't fail because I couldn't afford to fail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out there bootstrapping a new business. I have to have this license. Without this license, I'm cooked.
Right.
What am I going to do? I'm going to be working at In-N-Out Burger. So every night I would study. I would go to Van Nuys. I took the prep course. So I finally got to the point where I was allowed to take the test. So we went to Oxnard, California, in Ventura County, and I actually took the test with Jeff from the Bravo Network, who was flipping out. I think his show was.
Okay.
So you get in there and they give you a commercial set of plans, and it's a 400 question exam, and you have to show your work. So I took it with, I think it was around 80 guys, as I recall. And the first portion of it is California state law, lien law, tax law, administrative stuff. If you pass, you take it on a computer, it's multiple choice. If you pass, it tells you passed. Come back after lunch for the practical exam. When I came back after lunch, there was 14 people left. And I remember
Unreal.
counting them. 14.
Not all of them passed the second one.
Yeah. So I open up the plan. It's a full-fledged commercial building where you have to calculate excavation amounts over digs. I had to understand welding. I had to be able to calculate a manual J, which is airflow for an HVAC system. Very thorough. Like, it's like a PE couldn't pass this if he didn't take the test. You know what I mean? A professional engineer. It was very hard. I passed. So anyway, we did a lot of business in LA over the years. I was out there until 2017, and we did a lot of really cool stuff. I worked for some people in the industry, some famous people that were country music stars and movie stars and stuff like that. We had a great thing going. We built a house in Malibu right on PCH that was on Bravo's $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. We were on that show, and it was amazing. I decided after an unfortunate incident to leave California, and I was going back to Philly, and my best friend from here said, "Come home." And I said, "I don't know what I'm going to do there, because what I've done for the last umpteenth amount of years is I either built production homes or I built for high-end clients where cost didn't matter that much. I said, I don't know how I'm going to translate that to Northeast PA. And he said, trust me, you will. And he's a very established builder back here. So I did. I came home and I got my first job in Waverly, which was an interior renovation. And it's sort of just stepped and stepped until we started building homes and we started building businesses and everything else that we could get our hands on. So yeah, so that's sort of where I'm at now.
It's quite the evolution.
It is.
So when you say so you personally go to California and
Kept the business in the Philadelphia area. My younger brother
Okay.
is my partner.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I keep hearing we, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how do you then go to a brand new state and then build relationships with all new subcontractors? How did you do that? How did you do that?
You just dig deep. So I would go to lumber yards. I would go to plumbing warehouses and I would grill them. Everything. I want to know everybody. Hey, I'm doing this. Can you help me? Can you help me? When you do that, people want to help you. You know what I mean? And I built some amazing relationships. In fact, when I left California, I still have my Class C license. I had contractors who are not licensed offering me like 6 figures for my license. It's that valuable in
Yeah.
the state of
You can
California.
transfer it.
You can't. It would have all been, clandestine.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't do it, because I'm not going to, I'm not
Gotcha.
indemnified for that. The liability and something like that, I don't need that.
No.
But no, I just, like I said, I bootstrapped. I went and met as many people as I possibly could in the business, and I became allies with them, and I mined them for data and information, and I just started talking to people. So here's what happened. This is so where I lived, right about a block away from me, Marty Kleba lived. So Marty Kleba is he's a little person actor. He was in all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He's the bald guy in the Pirates of the Caribbean with the little soul patch. He became one of my best friends. And Marty, who I redid his house, Marty would hook me up with these A-list people. We did Julian Lennon's house in the Hollywood Hills. And I can go on, but there's many more. But I don't want to, I don't want to be like this goofy name dropper. But we did a lot of really cool stuff out there. And it was like anything else in business. It's like who you meet, how you've networked. You know what I mean? If somebody wants to do business, if they want to trust you, and that's, luckily, I had enough of that I was able to build the business to a great spot, and then some stuff went down and I had to get out of it. Nothing illegal. It was a relationship thing that it was better suited for me. And my mom was sick. My mom passed away from cancer. Like when I came home, and I was when I lived in LA, I was flying back and forth from Philly to LA like every 3 weeks.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
my mom was dying from cancer.
Wow.
So I would fly back and forth every 3 weeks to be with my mom. So, I ultimately, ended up coming back to home, where it's a lot different than, because I left in probably 1988, maybe.
It's been a while.
It's pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
But now I've been back 9 years, which like that,
Yeah.
it goes like that.
Did
So
you graduate high school out here?
I did.
Yeah. Where'd you graduate?
North Pocono.
Okay.
Yeah. In 84. I'm old.
You're not that old, man.
I'm like Methuselah.
I like the reference.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
that's
too
so
young to know
challenging.
the reference.
Oh,
You're like, who's
Born in
Exactly.
84.
No.
Good
So,
year.
It was a good year.
Yeah,
Did you say you were born in 84?
I was.
Jeez.
You were born in 84?
Yes, I was. Yes.
That's,
And you just got old.
yeah, that's true.
No,
That's
but this is amazing. Okay, so you came home now.
Yeah.
And how was that on your mindset, your feelings? Like, what was all that like?
So I felt kind of defeated a little bit.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that grow up around here equate this area with not a lot of growth, or it's not cool. You know what I mean? So when I left, I never thought I'd come back. When I reached a certain level, which I did, I reached a certain level of success, and I never envisioned myself coming back to Northeast PA. But my friends were here and my family was here, and it turns out to be, it's great. I'm so happy that I did it. Um, every now and then I think about, the culture in Los Angeles, or the ability to do way more than I could ever do here. But it's different. The people here are, there's no 405. So there's no traffic. It's not like, when I would work there, I would have to be like, if I was working over the hill, they say over the hill, that's like if you live out in the valley, when you go over into Hollywood or Beverly Hills, or even down toward Malibu, they call it going over the hill. If I would go over the hill, I would have to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning, or I wouldn't get there. I wouldn't be, so
Wow.
no more going over the hill,
Yeah.
and people,
Sleeping a little bit.
yeah, yeah, but people here are, easier to deal with in a lot of ways. Certainly the tax situation in Pennsylvania is a lot different than it is in California.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do over 5 million in revenue in the state of California, I think the state tax is 13.8%, which is, you know, I mean, what I mean? It's like it makes people run. I mean, I guess that's
Yeah.
It's
why
on
a lot
top of
people are
federal tax bill.
Whoa.
on
Yeah.
top of the federal tax, of course.
2 years ago, I took 3 trips in the same summer to LA
Mhm.
for certain reasons, and it was fun. I had never actually, as an adult, I had never been out there,
Yeah,
and we stayed at, like, it was Beverly Hills and it was Hollywood Hills and stuff each time we went in.
yeah,
It's so unique. It's such a
Yeah.
it's hard to explain and describe it, right?
Yeah.
But it was cool to see all the places that you've seen on TV
Yeah.
and movies and all that stuff. But like when you say you built stuff in Hollywood Hill, like
Yeah.
it's tight.
very
Some
tight.
of those roads, and the first thing I'm
Very
thinking
tight.
like, how are you getting cranes and,
Oh,
and just
very
deliveries
tight.
up there at some of those
So
places?
when I was talking about Julian Lennon's house, so that house was done on the street is called Sunset Plaza. So Sunset Plaza is a horseshoe road that comes up off of Sunset Boulevard, and it's built into the cliffside. So his house, how it backed up to a straight cliff, and the road is a serpentine road that 2 cars can barely get past, and we had to put in these ridiculous caissons. So a caisson is a round concrete tube, for lack of a more descriptive way that goes into the earth, because everything out there is seismic. It's seismic design. Yeah, so doing stuff like that on the, you're shutting down, roadways for,
Yeah.
and people don't like that, and the city doesn't like that, and you have to hire a geotech and have them sitting on the site the whole time while you're doing it. It's challenging. It's a different, but working in Philadelphia, like like I was talking about the building that we did in Center City, that was an old city where you're not allowed to have dumpsters on the street. I had to put in. I mean, it was just a large job, so I had 6 figures in there for parking. I mean, it's not that it's easier,
Unreal,
it's
yeah.
different.
Yeah,
It's just
Mhm.
absorbing
it's
it.
a different world. Yeah, it's a different world. But than it is here for sure,
Mhm.
So you must have an ability to make the complex simple.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're
Sure
perfect,
wish.
brother.
Yeah.
But I mean, as we talked briefly before we started here, I grew up in a family of builders, right?
Yeah.
And it's just with the subcontractors. And when I started, when I was a young guy with my dad, we did everything. Like we were pouring concrete, putting the blocks up on the foundation, and then doing the finish work. And then as time evolved, started to sub it out. And
Sorry, when you grow.
and
Yeah.
it was just your body's gonna give in.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
after a while, like it was so hard to build efficiencies. So like when you're talking about the time with Pulte, like and how the contractors could depend on the dependability of having that job and that schedule, that to me seems to be the only thing. Volume can make efficiency. There's
Absolutely.
other risks involved, but so when you switch gears, basically get out of that vehicle and get into a totally different vehicle, and now there must be different things different types of challenges that can make it worth. When you're doing custom homes, it's fun and it's super probably fulfilling
It
from a
is.
creative side,
Yeah.
but it could destroy your wallet if you don't keep those efficiencies flowing, right?
Absolutely.
How do you balance that?
Well, I mean, it's like and I tell my younger brothers, like, the longer that you're in it, it's like being a major league player And when you're at bat for the first couple of times when you're in the major leagues, you don't see the stitches on the curveball.
Right.
You start to see the stitches on the curveball when you have enough at bats. And that's like,
It's a good
I
way.
just see the stitches on the curveball. So like, I don't, I don't freak out stress wise anymore. I just like, I don't. And that's not to say that there are not challenges, because there are. But I've always sort of been of the mindset of keeping a war chest. Like, I don't just waste my money. I mean, we've been in business now for 18 years, and I mean, in the construction world, 18 years, like, there's not a lot of people that make it to 18 years. Like, most businesses are 3 to 4 years, and they're gone if they're a fool. If they, you get, people have the mindset of getting rich on one job, and I don't have that mentality. So I just put the money away, and then we have, cash flow is king in my world. I mean, we're doing right now, we have maybe 8 crazy houses going. All of them are between 5,000 and 8,000 square feet. And if I didn't keep, I mean, I couldn't keep things going.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's a necessity to keep the war chest full and don't mess with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I take very small draws, and that doesn't mean that I don't live a good life. I do. I'm fine with that stuff, but I like to be conservative with it. I'm very conservative with that stuff.
Isn't the biggest challenge the subs?
Well, it's subs. It is,
Yeah.
and certainly, when market size changes, that's when you really feel the impact of the subcontractor base. So in the Philadelphia market, when I worked for Pulte Homes, or for the McKee Group, or when I did my own stuff in LA, there's a copious amounts of subcontractors. Here, there's a finite amount of subcontractors, and an even more finite amount that you can actually trust and rely on that they're going to do a good job. So everybody's fighting over them. All the good builders are fighting for these guys. So you have to pay on time. You can't be foolish with the way that you schedule or build, because they're not going to want to work for you. So the processes that I've always learned, or that I learned primarily with Pulte Homes, we implement that. Like we'll do, like we do critical path scheduling for every product that we build. So we can really kind of track what's going on. There's milestone dates when we know, okay, you got to order the windows now. Okay, we got to order exterior doors. All right, where's the garage door? Simple stuff like that. Whereas, my office manager now can just simply pull out that critical path schedule. In fact, she did this morning. We're putting a foundation in today. We're doing a superior walls, and she called me today. She said, "You want me to order the tubs?" And I said, "That's what you're supposed to be doing." Yes.
Yeah.
Get them ready, because we'll have that thing framed, and there's nothing worse than having it framed than plumber coming in and going, "Where's my tub?"
Right.
You know what I mean? So we supply the tubs, and they make the connections. So yeah, subcontractor base is obviously, it's crucial. It can make or break a general contractor.
Yeah, and then even on the supply side, right? So you could have the best laid plans and scheduled out,
Mhm.
and then your window company calls and says, problem in Houston. We're gonna redo it. It's gonna be another 2 weeks,
And that's
and you're like, oh,
yeah,
I
that's
just said on the podcast I don't get stressed.
yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't. So on the one that I was just talking about, the one we're putting a foundation in today, we were supposed to put it in on Thursday of last week, and this is in Music Lake. So Music Lake is the highest natural lake in the state of Pennsylvania, and it's spring fed. So when we dug the foundation, it was what they call perching water. So perching water is an aquifer or groundwater that's in the wall. So when you cut the ground, it's literally gushing out of the walls. So this foundation filled up with water like a swimming pool in a day. So
That's a bad thing.
that's a bad thing.
That's bad.
So we pumped it once, and the water was still flowing.
Oh
So
my gosh.
they came to put the superior walls in, and couldn't do it because the ground was pumping. So that's the kind of thing, like, what are you going to do? I mean, that's nature. It's like, what are we going to do? So, we just respond. So it's like stitches on the curveball. Like we put in an additional 6-inch daylight drain. We well pointed it to get the water out of it, and they were able to set it this morning. So we literally lost really a half a business day or one business day. You know what I mean? But you have to be able to and know how to respond to situations
Through
like
it,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. but they're going to happen. I mean, it happens every single day.
Sure.
Yeah, you're like in the business of problem solving
Yeah.
24/7 and then building
Yeah.
processes around the problem solving.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think you're more creative, like right brain thinker, or more left brain? Because it sounds like a lot of this is strategy,
Yeah.
planning, organization.
I'm
This
definitely
is
more
very
left brain. I'm definitely
interesting.
more left brain.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like, the process part is just rote rehearsal for me. It's something that I had to like condition myself for,
Yeah.
because I don't naturally think that way.
Mm-hmm.
I would be doodling on a sheet of paper somewhere if it was up to me, like, ooh, which that I can't do that obviously with what I do, but no, my gratification comes from the design end of it for sure. And then, to build it, like I can drive through developments that I built every house in. And that is a crazy good feeling. You know what I mean? So all the torment, and that's not, that was in when I went, all the torment that I went through to do that, it paid off.
Yeah,
It
you're
paid
thinking about
off.
all the families in
All the
there, all the
families.
memories that are being made.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's still like now
Yeah.
around here, we have begun to be able to do that. I mean, I can drive around the area in the Clark Summit area for sure and look at a lot of properties that we did and be like, yeah, I remember thinking about how this would work better in this design or that, so it's fun, and
Yeah.
it's gratifying for me for sure. But I'm definitely more left brain.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you what makes you the happiest inside your business. What's your favorite thing to do inside of the business?
Oh, wow. I mean, I think it's when we have a good customer. I'm used to the building stuff. It's good. Yes. When we come up with a cool idea and we implement it, that's awesome to see it put together. But it's having someone be happy when the job is done because it's not easy. And in this area, it's harder, I would say. I really would. I don't know why.
To make a client happy?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
I heard that right.
And I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly why.
Yeah.
I think other areas they're used to people doing bad work, like in larger metropolitan areas. I really think something to that effect. They have a lower expectation. People have a very high expectation around here, and you really have to be on your game. You really, really do. So that's when we move somebody in and they're psyched and super happy, that's the best for me. That's why that keeps me coming back, for sure. Because we have customers who aren't happy, and then we have to respond to that to make it right. And that's not easy, but it's something that we have to do, and we try. We try. No, the only perfect one was on a cross, and it's not me. And so we make mistakes, but we endeavor at all costs to make it right. There's not a builder, developer, designer out there who doesn't have that happen to them.
Sure.
They just don't. I mean, if you're in this business long enough, you're going to get your ass kicked a little bit. And
That's where relationships come into play.
100%, even with the subcontract.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like when something goes south, then you know that you can rely on that guy. And they understand it. You know what I mean? They understand it. That's really, when you have somebody who's not just going to walk away from you. And we won't, I mean, like we'll never walk away from a client ever. I don't care how long it takes or what it takes. We will not just walk away. Yeah, so that's probably what I like the best. Happiness in the customer.
What's the coolest project you've worked on recently? Your favorite?
Well, oh boy. So we did this crazy indoor pool addition for a client down on Mount Margaret. And I mean it was 100 feet long. It was 40 feet high. We attached it to a house, and we did a 40-foot long glass panel that they could stand in their living room. It was 40 feet long. They could stand in their living room and look out over the pool.
One piece of glass.
One piece of glass.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was crazy. And that was probably. I mean, it was. We did it. We did a handmade helix floating stair set. That was a helix design that I had an artisan make. That was incredibly cool.
Neat.
Yeah, with the whole outside environment, it was very, very cool. And we're getting ready right now. We have two clients who were building. They bought large parcels of land, both 60 plus acres, and their houses are going right on top of a mountain, sort of in this sort of landlocked piece of land that we have to put, 2,000 linear foot driveways in, and they're going to be perched right up on top of these mountains. So that offers a whole different set of issues. Like, how do you get power up there? Like, like why is my driveway going to cost as much as my house?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot. We have to get HOP permit, highway occupancy permits for those. So those kind of things are challenging, and they keep me on my toes. But these houses, they're both going to be fairly large and completely unique, like nothing that anybody else is building. And I'm really psyched about that part of it. I do a lot of social media stuff. I do a lot of it,
You do.
and like I'm proud of that stuff. I'm proud of showing that stuff off to people. Like, we just don't build like a box with vinyl siding on it.
Yeah.
And that's not meant to be derogatory, because that's a great product too, and a lot of
Yeah.
people need products like that.
Mhm.
I just don't want to build those anymore.
Yeah. It's okay.
Edit that out.
Yeah, no,
It's like
that's all
Gene
right.
No,
is a snob.
there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm gonna get my phone out, change the siding on my house.
Get me some Hardy or something.
How many people in your actual company right now? Is it just a handful?
Like 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So most of it's through subcontracting, but the design specifically, you have such a control.
Yeah. Now we'll use architects from, like, we use Fancy Parsley, Mike Muller at Fancy Parsley. We use him a lot, because I love Mike's aesthetic. His designs are fantastic, and he's easy to work with, especially for me and my personality type. We do well together. There's been others that I've worked with that we didn't do well together. A couple guys that I work with, I would tell them that I push the pencil. You're the pencil and I push the pencil. Just do as I say. And that's not a symbiotic relationship. You know what I mean? It's just not.
How'd that go
Whereas
for?
now we have much, we have a nexus together, Mike and I. It's a very good relationship, and we're designing some really cool one-off kind of products that are going to be, I think, home runs.
I'd like to ask you this question because I think hopefully it affords you the ability to compliment yourself without sounding arrogant, because I'm asking you to do this. How does one go? Like, I've done 30 roofs in my life when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
Like ripping off shingles, picking them up, putting them in the dumpster, and then putting the shingles on, all that stuff. And it made me understand I'm probably don't want to do that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Right. I know people that can do that, and we've talked to folks that do that and make a great living on it, but they do it differently than strictly sticking to the labor side of it. So my question to you is, how do you go from being the guy doing all the work? Like, what characteristics? How do you know, like, I'm a guy that can do something similar to what Gene did? I can take a similar path and go, I'm not only doing this one thing and doing it well. I'm also now more in the general contractor side of things, because what attributes does someone need to be able to do all that versus focus on their skill, just their, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking like drywallers or
Mm-mm.
painters or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
those guys, some of them just absolutely kick ass. But
True.
what I'm asking is, like, some of them doing that work on a daily basis might go, I could be the GC of this whole thing.
Yeah.
What does it take to do that?
Confidence and courage. That's it.
That's it?
And I think
Yeah.
so. I mean, not being afraid. Don't be afraid. Take that chance. Take the risk. Just do it. If you don't feel like you can do it anyway. And like, it's, well, for me, that's what drove it for me. I wanted more for myself. I had certain goals that I wanted, and I always thought that I could do it. So, and like, my mindset was, if I fail, I fail. It's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? I can pick myself up, which I've done multiple times. I think anybody that's successful does that. And don't be afraid to fail, because failure is is a test, and it's what you learn from. It's how you change. And, but having the confidence and courage, like, it's probably, if somebody's a roofer now, if someone is a laborer who works for a roofer, that's a journey to get to. There's a lot to learn. If you've never even pulled a permit, you know what I mean. How do you schedule a build? Like, how do you schedule a commercial build? Can you read a plan? Like there's a lot to that. So it takes it takes time and experience. But to put your toe in the water and just say, that's warm enough, I'm getting in. And that's certainly what I did in the beginning. Um, and I mean, there were times when I was young, like a really young superintendent, like being made a fool of. I was made a fool of because you know,
By the older guys.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
sure.
My first project manager was this old Greek guy from North Philadelphia who was brutal. I mean, like he became one of my best friends. When I grew, like probably 10 years after that, he was super close to me.
Did you tell him he
And
made you cry a couple times?
well, I'm sure I did. And I think he actually did. His name was Mike, and he was the most hard. But I learned so much from him about how to handle business relationships on like a guttural level. He was, but I learned a lot from him, and I learned that he started out as a car salesman at like 18 years old, and I remember him telling me that he just jumped in to something like this and told himself he could do it, and he did it, and he was incredibly successful. He rose up in Pulte. He was a VP of construction somewhere for Pulte. I mean, in a public company like that, is if you're a VP of construction, you're in the upper tier of guy, and no education.
Yeah.
Just hard-nosed guy who had a practical mind and who wouldn't allow failure to enter his lexicon.
Love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's absolute truth.
It seems like you're open to learning, though. You love to learn. Like, you dive in. If you don't know something, you figure it out, which means you have to be pretty intelligent to begin with.
I think you should learn something new and teach something new every day. And that came from Mike.
Aw.
He would tell me that all the time, you know what I mean? Because this was when I first started, and I was, like I said, an area warranty manager. And the houses, like I would have stacks of house files on my desk that I was like, I'm never going to get through this. I can't even get to this house over in Voorhees, New Jersey. And then I got to come back. I got to go to Springfield, Pennsylvania. It was a nightmare. And he said, start at the top. Don't worry about it and work your way. He's like, just don't quit. And and that's when I saw how these houses were built, I was like, I think I might be able to help. Let me build one. Give me a shot, and that's sort of where it all started.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't think so. There was a guy that used to work with my brother. My brother runs a construction company now for himself and has done so for years. And there was a guy that back when years and years ago when I was there, young guy, and he continued to work with him for a while. But he did the same. He went through the same growing pains that I had when I worked with my brother, which was always like, you're never here. Like I used to say to him, you're the most talented asset we have, my brother, but you're always off doing paperwork, planning for the next one, getting the permits, talking to the customer. And it was like, I'm doing all the work, and so I should have my own business. And anyway, this guy went out and finally spun out and did his own business. Still has it today. He and my brother are very good friends.
Yeah.
But he's like, I absolutely, totally respect that I was way wrong in how I thought of your brother. He said, this running your own business can suck at times.
Oh, yeah.
It's way harder than I thought. I have so much respect for your brother, and now I'm doing it too.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go back, but he said it's just a lot of, it's not harder work, it's just different, right? It's a lot of being patient, being diplomatic at times and things like that. It's different
It's a
than
lot of laying in bed at 3:00 in the morning saying, how am I going to make this payroll?
Yeah.
I can't get this guy to pay his bill. I got to pay this.
I got a
there's
basement
nothing
filling
like-
up with water.
I got a basement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a $170,000 draw sitting there because I can't, because of water.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
How do I
but I
fix
can't,
this?
it can be, yeah. But I mean, anybody who is entered into the world of business has to understand that entrepreneurialism is not for everybody,
Mm-mm.
and you better like buck up because it's going to be hard and it's going to break you down. And it's the people that can weather that storm that are successful, and because it's going to happen. It happens to everyone.
It's going to make you cry in the middle of Browns.
Exactly.
I think that's how Gene got on the podcast.
Yeah,
I saw him at Browns and I started tearing up.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were
Like,
saying
okay,
he was
yeah,
crying.
no, not you.
Mostly customers.
You weren't crying in Browns. Let me be clear.
Yeah, no,
I
I
was
wasn't
crying
crying.
in Browns.
Oh,
yeah.
Was it a
But
bad
yeah,
day or
no,
there was just that extra
I
rep
think
that
it's just
got you?
hormones. We're gonna blame it on
That'll
hormones.
do it. It's
Yeah.
easy. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but no, yeah, this is amazing. So it doesn't seem like you're slowing down anytime soon.
Oh no.
No, what's next for you?
Well, geez. I mean, I'm pretty good with the path that we're on. We're gonna continue to sell our services. We're gonna continue to build, continue to make people happy, and we're doing an incredible cigar lounge in Scranton that's gonna be crazy cool.
Awesome.
We're hoping it's the largest humidor in Northeast PA. That's the plan. So we designed that, and we're at the land development plan right now. So we're hoping to start that very soon. And we have a lot of custom homes going. We're doing a warehouse in at Lake Wallenpaupack for Alaska Company Stove. So some of those commercial forays are fun, but it's really building the houses that make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so no, I mean, we're just going to continue pushing. I can't see myself, you know, I can't. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Retire?
No, it seems like
Crazy.
it's still lighting you on fire.
It
Like you
is. I mean,
still
it's
very
it's
passionate
it's who I
about
am.
what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's who I am. After all the years that I've been doing it, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't sit around on my hands. That's for sure.
Did you design the artwork on your arm?
So yeah, I did. Well, this is my family motto, family crest. It's the
Okay.
lion argent with the swords, and that's dire wolf. No, I didn't. I did. The only thing that I designed was that right there, which is the alpha and the omega. I am the beginning and I am the end. And yeah, that's the alpha and the omega. And it says Tiam underneath it in Gaelic, which means I am. Now,
Aw.
that's not meant to be like I'm a narcissist wacko. It could sound like
It
that.
sounded a
You're
little,
like, yes,
yeah.
you're very godlike.
You left that
Gene."
out on that
Yeah.
one part. Like, what does the GC need?
Right. Yeah. So no, I just and this stuff happened later in my life, and I don't know what I got my first tattoo, and it hurt so good, and that's the only. And I was like, that was horrible, but I'm gonna have to get another. Like it was just as simple as that. Which I think I'm done with it now, though. But I mean, so yeah. So no,
That's
I did
fantastic.
just that one. Just that one. That's the only one I had a hand in.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate that where you were talking about coming back to the area and really appreciating it from a different perspective. And I say that because I was recently introduced to some folks. My brother built their house, but they came to Tunkhannock, and we went to dinner with them. We were sitting out at the local restaurant with them, and my wife and I had the same question. We're like, why this area? And they said, we have gone up and down the coast from North Carolina all the way to Maine,
Hmm.
all the New England states, and like, it turns out I think it was one of their kids or maybe both had music lessons out in Camptown, which has this really amazing.
Camptown
And,
races.
yeah, right.
Doo-dah,
And
doo-dah.
and they came, but then not for the race, but this is for music, and but they came through Tunkhannock and they just fell in love with it. And of course, we're like, really? And it's not to knock on Tunkhannock, but going back to what you said, I think you could go to somebody in Wichita, Kansas. You can go to somebody in Miami, Florida, and they'd be like, I just, I can't grow up here. I can't live here. I grew up here. I got to get out of this place.
Yeah.
Maybe Miami might be a little bit.
Well,
I shouldn't use that
wherever
word.
you go, there
Yeah.
you are.
It's always
Mhm.
something
That's
different.
how it
Right?
is.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me in California. It was always something I had dreamed about, going and starting a business and like making it in LA.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yep.
And after a certain amount of time dealing with all the normal life stuff that you have to deal with in an area, in a metropolis like that, traffic, people, the bureaucracy, all the nasty, it was wherever you go, there you are. And it meant it was the same thing as living in South Scranton.
Yeah.
It's like it was just like, okay, I have this circle. I travel about 8 miles in total about wherever I go, and that's what it was like being there.
Yeah.
Like
Interesting.
I didn't go to Beverly Hills. I didn't go, I went to my little sushi joint that was right in like Chatsworth or wherever I was, and you didn't, it's like wherever you go there. So coming home had a lot of, just the familiarity that I just loved. And if it's wherever you go, there you are, I'd rather be here.
Mm-hmm.
Because you liked who you were here.
Well, I mean, memories, all the things that, that I grew up, recognizing and smelling and tasting the food and friendship. And there's so much that
Hmm.
drew that I wasn't going to come back. I really wasn't. I had to be cajoled into it, and I was going to go back to the Philadelphia area. But I'm really happy that I did. It's certainly paid off in a lot of different ways.
And now you get to leave your stamp on the area too.
Yeah,
Your physical stamp and the
100%.
community. It's not just
And a
one
place I
home or
grew up.
one family.
Yeah.
It's you're making a difference in the whole landscape
Boy,
of
I hope so.
here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You're like
beautiful.
the alpha and the omega.
Yeah, absolutely.
Began
No
here.
doubt. That's true. That's absolutely what it is. It's the
Full
beginning and the end.
circle. Yeah.
It's a full circle. So, yeah, no, I'm really happy about my move. We actually my wife and I, we drove up to Towanda on
Yeah.
Sunday. And I've never been to Towanda
Oh,
before.
that's a
I
gorgeous
was like,
drive.
wow, it's
Yeah.
amazing. Absolutely amazing. Stopped and read all the history road signs and
How
stuff.
cute.
Oh, God bless you for saying that. We have an office in Towanda, and I make this trek
Uh-huh.
a number of times a month, and I drive by. I still haven't stopped. My whole life, I've never stopped and pulled off there.
What, at the overlooks?
Yeah, those
Yeah.
scenic overlooks are insane.
They're insane.
If it's a clear day, it's one of the best views you'll ever find.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
So the one main
I'm
one,
glad you did that.
there's a big sign there, and it's the Warriors Trail.
Okay.
So the Warriors Trail, if this is on the podcast,
He loves
but
to learn. See this?
the
Let's go.
Warriors Trail was Six Nations of the Iroquois would travel from upstate New York all the way down along the Susquehanna, all the way to the Carolinas. And Sullivan's March was right there too,
Yes. Yes.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Wysox was founded in 1773.
It's great. It is beautiful.
You know what I mean? So there's
This
so much history.
Marie Antoinette, they spotted this place, and they basically were preparing for her to come over here, and then she got her head cut off.
Oh.
But that's a sad ending.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
not,
but
when
the
you
big
stand there and you look
twist.
out, you're like that. Now I know why they stopped here and said, "This is where it should be." It's just an absolutely
So
gorgeous.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm not a historian, but
Yeah.
thank you for reading those signs.
Absolutely. No, my
That's
pleasure.
awesome.
We're
So cool.
actually building a house up here this is a fun story. I had a client who found us on the internet from the Philadelphia area. And he owns 360 acres just between Tunkhannock and Mashopin, with overlooks of the river, like elevated over. It's absolutely astounding. And I was just like, I have to build this house no matter at all costs, which we're doing. We're at the design phase right now. But when he told me his name and where he was from, I said, geez, I used to have a concrete contractor who worked for me in the Philadelphia area who has the same last name as you. He goes, oh, really? Was his name Phil? I said, yeah. He goes, this is my brother.
Is that right?
I said, this is, and I was tight with this guy.
Yeah, it's very
I
Like,
Goosebumps.
so he asked him about me, obviously sort of to vet me and for
Yeah,
lack of a better
you still got the job.
Still got the job. I love it. That was good.
Go
He's like,
figure.
did you see his
That's
tattoo?
it.
Awesome.
You better think twice.
Oh, that's
This is
very
amazing.
serendipitous, man. I
Pretty
like that
wild,
word.
right?
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Great.
But
Good
yeah,
for you.
the area up here is crazy beautiful.
Yeah.
Crazy beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
love
We
it.
don't recognize it. When people come in and visit and they say, I love your mountains. I'm like,
Yeah,
mountains?
yeah.
No, these are like hills to me. But they're like, no,
Wherever
these
you go,
are
there you are.
amazing." Yeah, I got
It
to remember that.
becomes just like every other place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a blast, man. We've kept you for over an hour.
Really? Are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
Yeah.
Holy cow! That was quick and
I know. And there's probably so many more things. We probably
Oh,
just
yeah.
scratched the surface.
Yeah. There's a lot
Is there
more.
anything we missed for this round?
Jeez.
Is there anything you were like driving here and you're like, I'm definitely going to say this?
Oh,
We're gonna
yeah.
Drop this on them.
Dropping knowledge. First, I want to talk about your George Costanza wallet. Like that thing is, you're going to get a bad back sitting on that
I
thing.
know. It's like, what am I doing? I can't throw anything away.
I
I'm
know, I
like such a
understand.
pack
that.
rat. It's crazy. I can't throw anything away.
Yeah.
I have to have it all forever, and I don't know what's.
I want to know, did you bring is there a broom in your truck here?
I don't sweep anymore,
on.
man. Well, the good thing is that like I don't have that volume of product going on anymore. So I can almost be at each job site. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like, guys.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a different world now because I'm a grown up. You know what? I didn't feel like a grown up then. You know what I mean? So my subcontractors and I have a level of mutual respect that's different. It's a totally different market. And that's, you know, I think that helps to create a good product as well.
Sure.
You know, I don't have like back in the day when I was a young superintendent on a job site, these guys didn't have any respect for me.
Mhm.
What was I? I was a guy that somebody gave a job to. Let's see how quickly he fails. Because they went through superintendents like that.
Mm.
Because people they couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd make you want to, cry at night. It was terrible. Like if you have 15 houses and they all you have to settle one each month. That can bury you mentally. It can totally bury you mentally. So, but it's when you pull through that and you actually do it that you're like, I can take any job anywhere and I don't care.
Mhm.
Confidence.
And I think that's part of what helped me, because we're doing an 11,000 square foot addition on a home right now with a
Addition.
Addition. I
Yeah.
know.
with a 2,200 square foot pool with a 30-foot long flume sliding board. It's nuts.
I didn't want you to talk about my house here.
But we're putting vinyl siding on. I was like, come on, guys. What are you thinking,
We
man?
gotta save a little bit.
A
So
little stone somewhere, maybe something, anything. But I would never have looked at things like that, And I'm like, there's nothing that I look at now that I'm like, we could probably do that.
yeah, I think that's Instagram. Everybody's trying to outdo each other.
I don't blame. I think that that's probably a part of it. My brother was saying to me today. My brother's getting into fishing, and he's like, I watch so many Instagram videos of people fishing. He's like, when I catch a fish, he's like, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah,
That's a problem.
it is.
Yeah.
You're
Whoa.
living vicariously through this.
It's fake
Yeah.
dopamine.
It's fake
It's
dopamine.
fake dopamine. The
It's fake
dopamine he's not getting it from the real thing.
Yeah, the neurotransmitters are already full of fish.
Oh no, he's gotta cut
That's
it.
it. It's not the same. So I said, turn it off. Click, turn it off. It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Way easier said than done. But
Maybe you should watch a whole bunch of getting the algorithm of guys losing the fish before they actually land.
that's a great idea.
Right?
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
I'm gonna tell him that
started,
as
yeah.
soon as I leave here.
I'll
That's
get
like
my
first
clawed out and
call.
get that going tonight.
I know we need bathtubs, but he's gonna. That's the first thing.
Fill the tub with
Outstanding.
fish.
That's
All
funny.
right.
Gee, thank you very much,
My
man.
pleasure.
I really
Nice to meet
appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks for
Hope one out.
coming,
My
My
Gene.
pleasure.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Beyond the Bottom Line. Thank you for listening. If this conversation sparked something for you, please let us know. Follow, share, or leave a review. It helps us keep having the conversations we love that you love to listen to. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more real talk from real leaders. Until then, here's to feeling successful beyond the bottom line.